Hello and welcome to the Sidewalk Report. Today we have a really thought-provoking edition here that is going to get people having conversations. It is called Schools and the Battle of the Young Minds. And we have some excellent speakers with us today. I'm really thankful that everyone came to join us and put all of their thoughts into this collective brain soup here. And we are serving it up here at Game Changer Podcast Studios, right here in Cascade Galleria Mall. And Game Changer, for those of you who don't know, is a program for youth, 4th grade up to 12th grade and beyond sometimes. And the kids are going to be helping out in the post-production. And so here we are, and I am not going to chit-chat too much because they're, I guess, have some great stuff to say. So we are going to start with Yvonne Allen. I'm going to let Yvonne Allen introduce herself, but I've already introduced her. But anyway, here's Yvonne, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and what she does, and we're going to go around the table.
My name is Yvonne Allen. This is my third child that is in the Newcastle schools. I've been here for a long time. And I'm also a commercial artist, paralegal, and I also am a carpenter. I do basic everything. I do a lot of carpentry work now, more so than ever. And I do crafts.
Oh, very great. That is cool.
And you have your children were in the school system as well.
Yes. Yeah. My two oldest ones went all the way from kindergarten all the way to graduated. My son played football for Newcastle, actually, for most of his life until he graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, my son played football for Newcastle for a long time.
Yeah, that's great because that'll really bring the issue on home. I thought it was very important to have a parent and someone who was involved with their kids in the school system as well. And then we all have Mr. Pat Amabile.
Hello. Yes, my name is Pat Amabile. First and foremost, I own a small business right here in town, just on the Diamond,
Yes.
Kennedy Square, called the Shipping Depot Plus.
Oh, okay.
And we've been there 15 years. And so we really have come a long way with our shipping. And pretty much in the Lawrence County area, we're pretty much, well known throughout the county of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to all of that, I also am on the school board at Newcastle. I am seeking my third term coming up in November. So if successful, that'll be 12 years that I've been on the school board of Newcastle. So I'm doing that. And in addition to that, I also am, we do live streaming for the Newcastle sports programs. We have the Newcastle Hurricanes sports media page. So anytime you see a Newcastle sporting event, most of the time we're the ones doing the live streaming.
Excellent. Okay.
And
that is excellent.
Yeah, and just one last thing is I'm also the commissioner of our local men's adult softball league. So, we play at Gaston Park, if you're familiar with Gaston Park. And so that's what I've been doing.
Great. And here we have Randy Ryan. He is a teacher and an author.
Yes. So, thank you. So I am actually just started my third year teaching at Lawrence County Career and Technical Center. This is my 10th year in education total. My third year at the CTC, and I teach English. And I've actually, as Dante mentioned, I've been writing books for about 15 years now, I want to say. I think my first book came out in 2010. I think it was. I started with children's books, and then I moved up to novels, and since then I've gotten some short stories published. And my most recent book, which Dante actually helped me out with, was a chapter book for kids. So it's like kind of like a Goosebumps type of book.
Oh.
That was fun to do. I'm actually working on the sequel. The second sequel. The first sequel is typed. I just have to revise it one more time. But yeah, I've lived in Newcastle my whole life, and I graduated class of 2008. Used to be a power lifter. Set a few state records and a world record in the bench press when I was younger and in shape, and then I got injured, and then that was the end of that. But I still try to work out.
That's awesome.
Just stay healthy. But it's excited to be here. This is my second time doing a podcast. So, I was definitely jumping at the opportunity to be on here for sure.
Well, schools and the battle for the young minds, that is sort of a hot topic because there are so many influences that these kids are exposed to, and the educators and the parents and everyone involved with kids has to sort of sort them out and make sure that they can put the most important ones on the first priority. And so, I do have a question from the community in our famous question box. Unless you folks would like to pipe up with a thought that you had before I resorted to the famous question box.
I'm good with that.
I'm looking forward to the question.
I have two that I think that I want to talk about the most, and the first one was teaching these kids to write, and the second one would be teaching them how to handle their money. I remember when I went to school, we did the Peterson handwriting system in 6th grade, and after that we wrote, because now I see that these kids cannot write. These kids cannot sign a check. They can't sign their name on any official document because all the writing that I know my daughter had was, I think, one 9-week semester, and that was all. And then after that, these kids aren't required to write. So these kids do no longer know how to write. Everything is printed. Yes, printed. They print their name on every single thing now. I don't know why. At some point, teachers stopped teaching writing to these kids. They just felt like that was no longer necessary. But then how can these kids sign a bank check?
Right.
So if I'm an employer and I'm giving you a check and you got to go to the bank and cash it, you can't sign your name. You can't even sign your name on any form of legal document. And it's always you must know your signature.
Right.
So do you think at what time, when did that stop becoming a priority?
Yeah, that perplexes me, but the reality is that used to be something that needs to be taught at the lower level.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because you kind of have like a window of learning and growth where, okay, this is where you learn to write, this is where you develop most of your language skills. By the time they get to us, it's not much we can do on that end at that point. But the other thing is, you mentioned the signing a check and things.
Yes.
One of the nice things about the CTC is that they actually, my good friend teaches this class. It's called financial literacy.
Okay.
And it's a requirement every kid in the building has to take it. So they have to go through him to graduate, which I think is useful because, you hear people say all the time, when I was in high school, I didn't learn how to sign a check. I didn't learn how to balance my checkbook and all this other stuff. So that class does teach them how to do that. But I think to your other point, though, as far as, sometimes we do have them write on paper, but most of the time it's on Chromebooks. And the reason that is because the Keystone exams are on their Chromebooks. So it's kind of like practice like you play, you know what I mean? They have to write things. They have to get used to typing things. So that's sort of the logic behind it. Again, I do like to mix it up occasionally when the opportunity presents itself and have them write their answers on paper. Tomorrow we're going to probably be watching an Edgar Allan Poe documentary where we do an activity where they have to write on paper. So, so.
Well, the financial literacy thing I think is really, really important because when my adopted nephew, when he started college, the credit card companies give kids credit cards at 18. Yes. And I'm just so glad they didn't do that to me. I mean, I have one now, and I'd like to get a divorce. But I mean, I'm really happy that they are requiring that the kids have the financial literacy.
Is that something that Newcastle High School is also trying to do with these kids? Like, I know that there's a thing on Facebook where a kid comes into the store that they posted. And he said, well, I need change for a 50. He gave it to the guy. I need change for a 50. The man gave him a 20, 2 10s, and 2 5s. And he swore to God the man didn't give him enough change. He goes, but I gave you it. So this kid couldn't even distinguish a 20, a 10, and 5. That was 50. He had no idea. So, and then I see with my own daughter right now, when I tell her, before you go anywhere, like with her birthday, count your money out to me. She misses it all the time. She will And I'm like, no, let's go back over it again. You got a 20, She thought she had $65 when she actually had $85. Like somehow or another, they're not knowing how to count their money nor their change to make a purchase. So if they don't even know what they're getting back, like I could rip you off. I could know you're a kid and you don't know what you're doing. I'm not going to give you the correct change back. And they're not. They don't know it. They don't know. Oh well, like that kid didn't know that the money that this guy gave him equaled $50. Right. I think that's.
Yeah. I think that, and you may know some from your counterparts that through VOTAC or LCCTC.
Yeah.
But I believe there are some of those programs currently at Newcastle. I can get specific with some other information and detail maybe to share with you at another time. But I do know that there are some classes that they take. And in fact, to take it one step further, Newcastle, I don't know if you know this, but they purchased a home across the street from the high school.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know.
And they let them go in and do basic things like showing them how to wash clothes.
Oh, wow.
Showing them how to clean up, how to use a sweeper, how to use...
Are you teaching them like drywall work? Are you teaching them carpentry? And
that would be...
these kids building anything?
I don't think that much of it because
that would be more us.
Yeah, that's where Lawrence County comes into. But you're right in the fact that if they don't go to Lawrence County Career Technical, where do they get that skill set? When I was in school, we used to have machine shop, carpentry class,
wood shop.
I
had wood shop.
I made my own stools.
Yes,
I still have mine.
You're fine, Mike.
It's somewhere.
But I'm going to date myself here. But I even made an ashtray for some of my uncles and aunts. They don't do that anymore. Nobody wants to make an ashtray because nobody should be making an ashtray for somebody smoking, right? You're supposed to smoke. Oh, good.
Right.
So, but to answer your ultimate question, they do have some life skill things that were going on.
Well, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I mean, because there are people who aren't really getting that at home, and to have an actual real world situation like a house,
right,
and show them what is needed, basic needed to clean and keep it maintained and such. That's really important.
Well,
and that'll serve them well.
Yeah, and I think the other aspect of education too is it's not just this is where you put a comma or this is how you do long division. I think a big portion of it is like teaching them life lessons. And I tell the kids all the time, this is like what they do here is like on the job training, especially at the career center,
right?
Because it does prepare you for the real world, as they say. All the things that sometimes people take for granted. Good attendance, work ethic, getting your assignments turned in promptly, and especially in English. As far as the communication goes, I tell the kids that helps you in every field. So even if you don't like to read Shakespeare for fun, you still need to be able to communicate well and listen and think and things like that. But I think that's very interesting what Pat said about the Newcastle High School purchasing the house across the street. That's how long have they been doing that for?
So they've been doing it for a while. Okay. I just learned maybe about a year ago what they were doing with it, and so I started learning a little bit more. And I thought that was great.
Yeah,
they don't make it a mandatory thing.
Okay,
because for purposes of legality or whatever.
Sure.
I don't want my son or daughter to do that, whatever the case. So it's an elective kind of a thing, proactive. If you want to go and do this, you have the opportunity. So getting into where to make it mandatory is a little bit of a question mark, and I don't think that they want to go down that road.
Yeah.
Not that it shouldn't be, not that we don't think it's important, but I don't think they want to force anybody to do something like that.
Right.
The problem has become, say, for like just in my field alone, I've been in nursing for like 20 years. And what wound up happening is I began to see as we got some of these kids who were just getting their CNA licenses or they were coming into home care, they don't know how to cook. Like when we went to school, we took sewing and we took cooking. Those were mandatory things. Those were mandatory things that we had to do. That is no longer mandatory. So what wound up happening is when I go into a home, because I can cook from scratch, I can make a pancake. for someone who wants a pancake or for who wants dinner. And what was wound up happening was we were getting these young kids who don't know how to cook, and like they're going to their grandmother's house. They're taking their kids. They're going to mom's house. Mom's cooking for them. Mom's cooking for her kids, and you're like, well, what do you consider cooking? Oh, I'm going to McDonald's. So like these young kids in their 20s are no longer knowing how to prepare a meal. So what winds up happening now when you're in that field, what wound up happening was all our clients who were getting these home cooked meals now had to, because we had kids who couldn't cook, we had to change our system to TV dinners. So now every person in our care program had to purchase a dinner that they could cook within 10 minutes. Because we must alone had hired 5 girls who couldn't cook. Like they had no idea how to boil water even. I mean, it's just where these girls aren't knowing how to they can't pass it on to their kids because they don't know it. And like you said, in families where that's not a priority to teach, like in mine, it's a priority for Isabel to learn to cook for herself, wash her laundry, and do those things simply because, just not because I want you to get married, because I want you to take care of yourself.
But also, I mean, that is so cost ineffective because a takeout meal is going to cost you so much more than the raw materials and a home prepared.
Not to mention that it's pre-made and all those carbs and crap and all that stuff that's already in the meal. Well, that's how we do it now.
That's the thing. You spend $30, which you could have got $30 at groceries, which that can go a pretty decent way, and then you eat $30 worth of fast food, then you feel horrible after. So I always regret it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless I get Wendy's. Wendy's isn't too bad. I could do Wendy's.
I still am cooking.
Yeah, a home cooked meal you can't.
Yes,
for sure.
Cooking and baking.
Well, in the famous question box, we have a question, and the question is, it's about AI. I mean, what ways is AI perhaps impacting education, or what things should we sort of look out for with AI?
Okay.
Anyone want to start first?
I mean, since you had sent me some information, I did some research on some of the AI things that are happening at the school.
Yes, we cheat here on this.
In a good way, right?
I know.
In a good way. So I had talked with the assistant to the superintendent today, Dr. Tabitha Marino, and she had advised me as soon as I had asked her about it, she was well aware of what was going on immediately.
Sure.
So over the last year, and you could probably shed a little bit more light on what's happening in LCCT. Is that right?
LCCTC.
LCCTC.
When I tell people LCCTC, a lot of times that's technically what it's called now, but I say that and no one knows what I'm talking about. I just say what, so I say VOTAC. Yeah, and then they get it. Yeah.
So, but what's happening is over the last year or so, AI has become multidimensional. And what I mean by that is you mentioned ChatGPT.
Yes.
Okay. But on Microsoft, there's also something called Copilot. I don't know if anybody has ever seen
that. Sounds familiar. I'm not sure what it is, but I think I've heard of it.
If you're on a different browser, if it's Microsoft, it's called Copilot. And I have used it, and it's been very efficient for me. I'm in the shipping business, so I'm always looking up shipping rules and shipping international and tariffs and things like that. But in Newcastle's case, what we're doing is the administration, whenever they have, as you guys know, an in-service day, what do you do on an in-service day? You learn or you get some
professional development. Yep.
Tracy Europoli is a name I'll just throw out. She kind of runs that kind of program for the teachers. So what we're doing at this point is the administration is teaching the teachers how to, teach the children the AI. We do know that there's a lot of plagiarism going on, as you can see. Yeah. So we want to make sure that anything that is out there, the teachers have an understanding on what it is they're doing, but also from, homework standpoint, did you just type something in, as you know, or did you actually go and do the work and just use AI to confirm or look up ideas to go any further? As of right now, there is not a class today that is AI related, but that will happen next year. I've got confirmation of that. Now, I also posed another question to her and said, okay, what if one of your students comes in today and has done some things, not intentionally bad, but they did some work and you can tell whether it's AI related or not. Well, how do you handle that? Well, the teacher is going to probably do what you did and look up and see if it was AI generated and then make it a discussion within the class. So, Yvonne, if you're the one using the AI and Brandy didn't or whatever the case may be, then they will have a discussion on why it's good, why it's bad, and then where can we go to help us learn.
Right.
Ultimately, that's what we want, right? We want the children to learn, but we don't want them to just have to press a button and get the answer.
Right.
So that's where we're at today. And we are moving along into having more discussion on in-service days. So the teachers are ready to just be able to have a lesson plan, so to speak.
I mean, to Pat's point, we are actually in the process of the English department and our principal, Mr. Orelli, we're trying to come up with a plagiarism policy for the school. Now, what we tell kids, what I tell them, especially my seniors, I'm like, people take this very seriously, okay? Because this is like considered stealing. So, they have to know that if you go to college and you do this, you could get kicked out of school. You know what I mean? So you have that aspect of it. The other thing that I always tell them, and this sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I tell the kids, please don't use ChatGPT because I will be able to tell if you did that. It's the easiest thing in the world to catch. It's not hard. You could see it from a mile off. But I think it's hurting too with the ability to evaluate sources. Because that's another thing. You mentioned doing research on Google and things like that, and we do delve into some of that a little bit as far as general internet research and things like that. I tend to tell the kids, websites with .gov or .org are usually better than .com if you're just surfing the web. But again, it kind of lessens that ability for them to distinguish between what's a credible source and what's not, because a lot of times they're just typing a question into Google and they get the AI answer and it's a machine or it's something ephemeral. It's not, an actual source, and they're, taking it as if it's gospel, so to speak. But the other point I wanted to make too is that, we do not encourage the kids to use AI at all. We as teachers use it as a tool sometimes, but that's the thing. You should use it as a tool, not rely on it completely. I'll give you an example about what I mean. There was last year, I believe it was, I wanted to give my 11th graders a pre-assessment. So I said I went to ChatGPT, and anytime I've only used it a handful of times. I tend not to, you could probably count on one hand the times that I've used it. But I went to it and I said, okay, give me a 25 question multiple choice test, for 11th graders, general English knowledge. And so I'm highly specific when I'm telling it to give me something. And then when it gives me it, I read it over with a fine tooth comb, edit it, make sure it's accurate. And, before I even consider posting it or anything like that. And that's another thing that the kids seem to not be able to do is, again, you'll turn in a whole essay that's completely the product of ChatGPT, and it's like, again, clearly you did not write this, so it's a problem in a lot of ways, for sure.
I think that the school is behind, and like he's saying, you always wind up having to play catch up. Because what I was saying previously about AI and the kids who are having these conversations, having these relationships with an AI person that they've created themselves. I know for a fact my daughter's friend has been talking to one, and right now she's in 11th grade, and I would say that girl who's her friend, she's been talking to a couple of girls, actually, more than one, have been talking to their AI significant other since 8th grade, since 8th or 9th grade. So schools are always trying to play catch up with stuff like that. And the kids are going to grab it first, and they're going to know about it. So I think that what we were talking about, these two children, and I knew that they were talking about on TV on 60 Minutes, who had committed suicide from having relationships with chat GP whatever
GPT.
characters, chat and creating these avatars and having these romantic relationships, and they're actually becoming, and they think they're in a relationship with this person, and it's like it's not even a real person. But I think that the schools need to watch out for that. And I mean, and these two cases that they were talking about, the schools were unaware, that even the mother was unaware that her child was having this year-long relationship with a AI.
Well, a thing that I thought of, which may be a useful tool for parents and such like that, is that if on all of our devices and stuff, if we have a program, it can put an icon
Yes,
on the screen.
I would definitely.
And what I would say is that should be mandatory.
Yes, it should.
That if the kids have a tablet or their own cell phone or anything, that if they have a chat GPT, that the icon should be there. And I don't know if they have a specific division for like creating your imaginary friend or something like that.
Oh yeah, they do.
But
From
if
what
they
I
do,
understand.
if the icon could appear on the screens and stuff, so that way, busy parents and stuff like that who maybe aren't as versed in technology just know what to look for, and be able to see that right away. That might be a solution.
I'm all for that, actually. And he was talking about using AI in the classroom. As a parent, I would like to know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a parent that's not so much a helicopter parent, but I want to know everything that my child is doing at school. So I think that parents should be told, like, hey, I'm going to use AI and this is what I'm going to do with it, so that my child can come home and say to me, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're using AI. So as a parent, I know what's going on, and then I can monitor better what they're doing. And that is the beginning. That what he was saying was the beginning of this kid's relationship with this AI person. From school, he got that, he was using it, and then that turned into him creating this imaginary woman that he became in a relationship with. And like the mother thought, oh, well, he's doing this for school, so I'm not going to be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? She thinks he's doing this at school, and here he's in a relationship with a AI person.
Well, one thing I will talk directly about what you're asking, and I don't know if, again, I keep referring back because I don't know if you guys do this or not. Newcastle, the kids all have a device. Okay. Now, the devices are monitored, by the IT department.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes for me is, are you talking about a device that they own, their phone? If it's on a device that's the school property, they can limit access.
Right.
That's
Yes.
Okay.
That
To
is
certain things.
Yes.
Now, additionally, and please jump in when you're ready, but the students have lesson plans and the teachers communicate pretty frequently. Don't they have a portal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my point in asking, I'm only asking, as a parent, if you want to be involved, you have access to going into the portal.
Sure.
Looking at their grades.
Yeah.
Okay, there should be no surprises.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
And if they had a question, they have direct communication with the teacher in question.
Mhm.
So you're talking about not being a helicopter parent or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's fine. But the thing that should be is the parents have to be more involved if they're worried about what's going on,
Sure.
the content that they're being given
right.
access to.
Right.
Yeah.
But these Chromebooks, iPads, whatever the case may be, the IT limits them to certain websites that they cannot go to.
That's excellent.
And we actually, to your point, we have a program called Managed Methods where we can actually see their screens
Oh wow.
on our computer.
Oh okay.
So we can see what they're doing.
Mirrors the image.
Correct, yes. Now, as far, I don't know, does Newcastle have a cell phone policy?
They do.
Okay.
We had one.
Okay.
We've changed it up a little bit where if you bring it into class and you're not doing anything with it,
Okay.
we don't say a word.
Okay.
If it becomes an issue,
Then
it's right.
we'll make the problem.
Okay.
We'll make the issue become a little bit more. But
Okay.
we've changed it in the fact of and there's a lot of views on it. I don't think this is the forum for that, but safety is an
Right.
issue. If
Sure.
God forbid
Yes.
there was an active
Yeah,
shooter,
Yes.
I want my kid to be able to get
Yes.
their phone.
Right.
But now, and over the summer, all the buildings in each classroom
right.
all have phone capabilities inside the room.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
not just a cell phone. There's a phone unit in every school
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
We
Excellent. I love that.
we have caddies, they're called,
Yes.
in the back of the room. And
Mhm.
the rule is when you walk in, you have to put your phone in the caddy. If you don't put your phone in the caddy, don't let us catch you on it because that's an automatic light up and it's defiance too, so it's a double whammy.
Oh, okay.
So they know that okay, if my phone's not in the caddy, out of sight, out of mind,
It's in my back,
or
and it's under
it
my-
should be if it's in my locker, that's fine, right? But so as far as them using their phones for that, AI purposes, that's really a non-issue now with our new cell phone policy.
Mhm.
But again, I worked at Shenango for 6 years before I got hired at the CTC, and they had a program that was similar to managed methods, but you could actually take control of the kid's screen.
Wow.
And I can't remember what it was called. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask somebody because it's actually, I've been trying to figure it out for 3 days and I can't think of
Rob Heath.
it. Rob Heath.
He's the IT
Yes,
guy.
yeah.
I know him really well.
I'd have to ask him when I saw him, but it's really bugging me that I can't think of the name of it, and I've really been trying. But it's managed methods that we have. It's very similar to that, except I don't think we can control, like we can't lock their screens and things like that. But I mean, either way, like if I see that they're on an AI website, hey, you're supposed to be writing your essay, not having that rated for you. So, we never. And like you were saying, parents have total access to everything, every assignment we upload, especially we're a Google school. So that's, they have everything's posted on Google Classroom. It's right there for them to see. They have the portal. All the assignments are on there. We have in the roster next to each student's name, we have, there's like an information section where we keep what's called a teacher journal where, any updates or anything we share in there. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty accessible. Yeah.
Okay, so that is, we are going to revisit this discussion. There is going to be a part 2, but that is part 1 of schools and the battle for the young mind. So stay tuned, come back on our YouTube channel and like and subscribe and share this to a friend. There were so many, I want to thank everyone involved because there were so many things I was completely unaware of. And I like how the system has put up guardrails and put up some safety things and is constantly on the lookout for ways to keep the kids safe and to keep them informed.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, this is the Sidewalk Report. Hello, and thank you for watching this episode of the Sidewalk Report. Stay tuned and keep an eye out because we will have more episodes on this and other topics. Questions, thoughts, comments? Do share. I am Dante, and this is the Sidewalk Report.